Hey folks, how's it going? It's Game Webcam, and finally we are going to be talking about Brick Hill's new client, along with the mobile client that has been teased around on YouTube. Initially, I took a detour from making this video by talking about Roblox's vocal minority. If you want to watch that video for yourself, you can find it in the top right corner. It's a good video that I might be referencing to time and time again. Wink wink. Well, for this first part, I'm going to be plugging a shameless self-promotion here. One good reason is that I've actually been working with another developer on finishing up a game for full release. This game is called Open Hexagon. You might have heard me mention this before, but this game has been in Steam Early Access for a year now, considering that the game first debuted on July 15th of last year. However, we are so close to finishing up that it's pretty much all on me now, as I'm heavily revising a lot of base game content to be a lot more enjoyable than what it was before. I won't bore you too much with the details, but I've been spending weeks developing multiple iterations and getting feedback from the community on what they like, they don't like, along with what they want to see. And I've just released the final iteration for feedback not too long ago, and I will be making the final changes and finishing up this pack. After this and a few last minute patches, this game will finally be out of early access and will be fully released. If you actually want to check out the game on Steam for yourself, the link to it will be in the description down below. Second off, and this is more relevant to Brick Hill itself, is the fact that a lot of discussion that was originally present for the new client has actually been dying down. The last big spark in discussion of the new client was when a video was released of a possible Brick Hill mobile client for Android devices, and this has been in circulation for at least a couple months now. This could be one of two things. One, a lot of substantial progress is being made towards the new client and they're just no longer revealing as much to try and get the client finished. Or two, a lot of people have just abandoned their expectations for a new client altogether, as they worry that a new client may never be coming. Now, usually when I make Brick Hill videos on this channel, I try my best to highlight a lot of the positive progress that Brick Hill is making, especially when it comes to how games are being developed and the changes that are being made to the website or progress being made towards the new client. However, this video that I'm going to be making is a lot more different, as I'm actually going to be a lot more critical in this video, and I'm going to be speaking a ton of criticism that I've been holding back for a while. I know that there are definitely going to be Brick Hill players who are going to be taking this video personally, as after all, Brick Hill is a safe haven for a good portion of the alt Roblox community. But do not see this video as me dissing or exposing or trying to cancel Brick Hill. That is not what I want to do with this video. Instead, try and see this video as me giving an honest critique of the platform and a realistic outcome that could possibly happen if Brick Hill keeps going in the direction that it is heading. Now, before we talk about the new client, we need to take a look at Brick Hill's current state. Brick Hill's player base is virtually non-existent, as almost nobody is going to Brick Hill to play games or visit sets. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are going to try to say that a lot of Brick Hill's player base are just hanging out on the forums, going on off topic and just posting dumb threads. Or perhaps Brick Hill's community is hanging out on the Discord, sharing funny and stupid memes and just having a lot of fun chatting. Brick Hill is not supposed to be a chatting platform. Brick Hill is supposed to be a games platform. That's the reason why it exists in the first place. If you are not actively seeking to play games on Brick Hill, you are not an active Brick Hill user. I don't care how many posts you make on the forums, how many messages you send on the Discord server, or how many collectible items you are buying and trading off the shop. What makes an active user on Brick Hill is whether they have an interest in playing the games present on Brick Hill. As you can see, Brick Hill's active player base is virtually non-existent. You only get the handful of players who are willing to play a few games on the front page, but over 90% of the games that are on Brick Hill's page have nobody playing in them. In my previous video talking about Brick Hill, I did mention that the legacy client has received a lot of updates and that only made the client a barely playable product. So overall, Brick Hill's client is now playable. However, the client is still far away from being a competent client, and for good reason. If Brick Hill's client was competent, then surely I would be making a lot more Brick Hill videos and definitely play a lot more games on Brick Hill. However, it's not just the players we need to worry about. We also need to take a look at Brick Hill from the developer's point of view. Considering that Brick Hill is pretty much an alt Roblox platform, it would make the most sense to try and convince a lot of Roblox developers on why they should be making games on Brick Hill rather than Roblox. Now, there are a few hurdles that a Roblox developer would have to go through to try and develop a game on Brick Hill. First off, there is the huge hurdle of writing server code in a completely different programming language. Roblox Studio, and all Roblox games for that matter, run their games off Lua 5.1, but more specifically Lua U, a dialect of Lua 5.1 Roblox develops to run faster and safer code than the baseline Lua 5.1, removing dangerous functions such as os.execute, and also to inherit features from later versions of Lua such as Lua 5.3. Lua U, like Java, is built to be very object-oriented, as it ties in with Roblox instances, events, and services to provide a high degree of control to the developer. Roblox games and places are hosted on dedicated servers, which means no setup or port forwarding is needed to be done by the end user, which is incredibly convenient. How this ties in with the programming language difference will be explained in a second. Brick Hill, on the other hand, doesn't have dedicated servers to host their sets. You will have to host them yourself through an application called Node Hill, which will turn your machine into a server and run the set for you. Running a Brick Hill set has some similarities to setting up a Minecraft server, with a few additional steps. If you are going to be running this on your machine, you will have to port forward your IP address to a static IP address for the website to read and players to connect to your server. Even after accomplishing this and following the setup of your server, there still remains one big problem, and that is server uptime. After all, you can't always have your game just come down and disconnect completely. There has to be a way to make sure that it runs 24/7. And there are two options that you can take to accomplish this. The first method that you can try doing is rent a virtual private server or VPS to do the hosting for you. There are a variety of different services out there that you can use to accomplish this for pretty low prices. The best part about this is that you still retain full ownership of your set, but you will have to actually pay money to keep the server. The other option that you can do is let another Brick Hill user host the set for you. There are definitely a few Brick Hill users who can do this, such as Illusionism and Smart Lion, and they usually are nice enough to credit the original set makers. But by doing this, you have to keep in mind that you don't have full control over the set, and I don't know if you earn bits in the same way as you used to earn tickets, but if that is the case, you won't be able to earn any bits from visits. But how does this tie into the programming language? Well, Node Hill uses Node.js, which is a runtime environment of JavaScript that works best for executing JavaScript code that isn't in a web browser. This means that if Roblox developers want to make sets on Brick Hill, they will need to learn how to code in JavaScript. There are a decent amount of syntax differences, and due to its typing, can be a difficult language to work with if you don't have experience with JavaScript. JavaScript. However, JavaScript does have a lot of similar features to Lua, and because JavaScript is way more popular, it tends to be preferred over Lua. As someone who grew up using Lua and not JavaScript, it absolutely frustrates me when someone decides to make their scripting engine use JavaScript and not Lua, because Lua is a language that is designed to be embedded and lightweight while still being multi-paradigm. They're also using JavaScript for Minecraft Bedrock modding. It absolutely frustrates me too, considering that C++, which Minecraft Bedrock is written in, has good chemistry with Lua. And I know this because I have assisted in developing a C++ game that has Lua scripting. Okay, now I'm starting to fall into a tangent. If there was a bunch of technical jargon that you didn't understand, that's fine. The main takeaway from this is that not a lot of people are willing to learn a completely new programming language, especially JavaScript, just so that they can make games on a competing platform. Core, another Roblox competitor, uses Lua to program their games. And why do you think they chose Lua? Because they know their competition. And if they want to have any chance of competing with Roblox, they need to find a way to convince developers to start making games on their platform. Changing programming languages completely, especially because you know you're trying to be an alt-Roblox platform, is such a huge mistake. Now, I am aware there was a separate project by a user named Cheats called Lua Hill, and this was supposed to be a compatibility layer that allowed developers to write Lua code and have it converted to JavaScript. But if you try to visit the GitHub repository, you will be redirected to a 404 page, probably because this project has been discontinued. While this would have helped Brick Hill reach out to those who program in Lua and not JavaScript, the conversion to JavaScript would degrade performance as a result, and considering that Brick Hill's client just got performance improvements, having good performance is crucial to making your game playable. Also, the inconvenience of self-hosting will sway developers away from Brick Hill. For comparison, let's talk about Brick Planet, another alt-Roblox platform. While yes, Isaac Heimer is a very questionable person himself, and you can call him scummy all you want, but one thing he did with his platform was he hosted user-created games on dedicated Brick Planet servers. I remember Hypo, the former Brick Planet staff member that I interviewed, which you can watch by clicking on the top right corner, telling me that the reason why Brick Planet had such a huge appeal was because of their dedicated servers. No other alt-Roblox platforms ever had the capabilities of hosting games on dedicated servers. And this was why there was a lot of hype and appeal for Brick Planet before Isaac shut it down. Again, call Isaac evil all you want, but he managed to do something that helped bring developers to his platform, and that was convenience. Game developers are the most important demographic you should be looking at. If you don't persuade game developers on why they should be developing for your platform, don't be surprised when your player base is virtually non-existent. The quality of the sets and the games that you offer on your platform will make a huge difference. And when you start having games that are addicting and people enjoy playing, we may start seeing Brick Hill change for the better. Now, I am aware of the limitations that the current Brick Hill client has, so let's dive into Brick Hill's upcoming client, or the prophesized new client that the Brick Hill community has been endlessly waiting for. Now, last time I've heard of Brick Hill's new client, the project name for this client is called Kahuna. This may be outdated information at this point, but that is what I will be referring to instead of just saying new client every time. Project Kahuna is the upcoming client that everybody is waiting for. This is supposed to be the client that is supposed to have much better graphics, better performance, an actual physics engine, in-game audio, and a brand new workshop for set developers to work with. Project Kahuna has been in development for at least a couple of years now, so how is it coming along? Well, it seems like they've got the graphics and some of the physics down, although leaked screenshots of the new client at the moment still contain several bugs, hopefully to be ironed out before a public beta or release. There's only a small set of people who have access to Project Kahuna, which we can infer means that Kahuna is either in alpha or in closed beta. Now, most Brick Hill staff members or players will tell me that I can't really criticize Project Kahuna because it isn't finished. And this is true to an extent. Yes, I can't review or give criticism to a product that hasn't been released yet. However, the developer roadmap of Project Kahuna and how they are accomplishing this project is something that I can offer criticism for. My biggest critique for Kahuna's development is the lack of transparency. There is no way for us to officially keep track of the progress that is being made towards the project, and it would be nice to see what features they have completed, are working on, and features that they haven't even started yet. Again, Brick Planet does a pretty good job at doing this. Now, for all we know, the progress that Isaac is making on Brick Planet's revival may not be accurate. I mean, this is Isaac Heimer, for goodness sake. But when you visit Brick Planet's website, you are greeted with a roadmap on the progress being made to finishing a revival of Brick Planet. It honestly wouldn't hurt for Brick Hill to do the same and have either a roadmap for Project Kahuna or have a developer's log to formally communicate the progress being made. Just list the features that Kahuna is going to have and tell us if you're done working on or if it's on the to-do list. This would be a much better way of communicating with the community and telling us how much of the client is done, because most importantly, it shows us that there are people working on it and progress is being made. I seriously think at this point, the bare minimum that Brick Hill can do is be more transparent. I hate not knowing the progress that is being made on Kahuna, and I hate having to scroll through endless messages for someone who either posted a picture or a silly GIF of the project to know how much progress is being made. My next critique of Project Kahuna is that it is being overly ambitious. This is where I begin talking about the mobile client, more formally called Player 2. A couple of months ago, a fellow content creator and Brick Hill staff member going by the name of Sir Steven drops a video talking about the potential of Brick Hill having a mobile client that can be used to play Brick Hill on a smartphone or tablet. To basically summarize the video, the mobile client will be available on Android devices through Google Play. Not surprising because it's more difficult to get an app on the App Store. The client will run Brick Hill games up to 120 FPS and is based on the test client Player 2 developed by Escha. And this client will even go so far as to have Steam VR support. The Player 2 client is said to be in experimental mode, so most likely it will not be publicly available for a while, and based on the gameplay footage Steven provides, it seems like Player 2 is a more intermediate client that may release before Project Kahuna. From what I'm seeing, Player 2 is not the same as Project Kahuna, but it does tie to Kahuna because it means that Kahuna will have higher expectations to work off of, as I'm sure mobile and VR support were not planned features in Project Kahuna. But why is this such a huge deal to me? Because this tells me that the Brick Hill development team is biting off more than they can chew. Yes, having a mobile app for Brick Hill would be pretty awesome, and being able to experience your favorite Brick Hill sets in VR would be quite amazing as well. But this just sounds like a ton more work for the developers to work on, and as a result, will take longer for the team to be able to complete all of these features and finish the client. And because there are more features to incorporate all at once, the more likely there are going to be bugs that will be much harder to find and address. The development team is essentially setting themselves up for failure here. The solution to this problem is pretty simple. Stick to the basics. Project Kahuna changes were originally going to be quite small, but with the constant community demand in the Player 2 client, this puts a lot more burden on Kahuna and expect more to be done. Seriously, just implement the most basic features, which are better graphics, performance, and in-game audio. It should be able to support everything that could be done on the legacy client with just these enhancements. While these changes don't sound too big and may not get a lot of hype, it'll be much easier to iron out bugs with just these changes. It'll take less time to develop, and most importantly, the player base will be happy that the game is being updated. After this, can you start working on more ambitious features such as a physics engine, mobile support, VR support, high tick rates, etc, etc. Just taking smaller steps will benefit you much more than working on so many things at once and have it become a disorganized mess. After all, when it comes to Open Hexagon, I have people constantly suggesting me to create a level editor, add shader support, get custom leaderboards, better scripting features. And trust me, I would love to implement all of these features because they're quite important. But there's only so much that I can do. That's why we stick to what we consider the most important and essential updates. And because of this, we managed to push out updates for the game. Seriously, just make your updates smaller and more iterative. You will feel much better doing this. Now, the last thing that I want to say in regards to Project Kahuna's road development, and this is going to be the hardest thing to do for the development team, it is very scary to do this, but set deadlines. Bapamo, a game that isn't even released yet, is trying to set themselves a deadline for trying to get their game released this year. Bapamo looks like it has some serious potential, attracting not just the alt Roblox community, but also communities from other games such as Super Mario 64, because believe it or not, there is still quite a dedicated community for Super Mario 64. But setting a release date, a big deadline, is the most important thing you can do. You essentially are telling the community and anyone interested, by the time this date hits, you should expect the game to release. Set a date that you are most comfortable with, that should give enough time to be able to develop and finish the project, while at the same time the player base doesn't have to wait for an eternity. It's terrifying having to follow a deadline. I know, I've set deadlines myself when developing features. When something just seems too ambitious or it's gonna take too long, I had to just scrap it last minute because I knew that I wasn't going to get it done. I made compromises, but what's most important is that I had a finished product. Of course, I will be glad to update and try again on those features later when I finalize everything, but sometimes you have to make sacrifices. You may not get what you were looking for, and that's okay. At least you were able to get the bare essentials in there, and after all, other people don't know what you are envisioning. And in an update, patch, or another release, just try again. There is a lot that I have learned from developing games, and while I might not have a lot of completed products under my belt, the lessons that I have acquired are still there. When you learn how to develop a game, you will be utilizing a ton of skills to make the game possible. Skills you thought you didn't need, but were entirely crucial. After all, game development is one of the most difficult tasks to take on. I still have much to learn myself, but I'm looking forward to one day developing Roblox games again, when the security for the website stops sucking, of course. Again, this video was never meant to diss Brick Hill or try to stop any progress they're making. I think this is a Brick Hill video that the Brick Hill community, developers, and the staff need more than anything at the moment. After all, I am an outsider, and this is my perspective of Brick Hill as a platform. And as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, thumbs up, and hit the bell icon to be notified for any videos that I upload into the future. This is Game Webcam, and take care.